Hello! I thought this was a good time to check in since we're just past the halfway mark of the semester. By now, you have learned a lot of elements and components that are unique to interpersonal communication. You have probably discovered that communication is a little bit more complicated than you thought. The goal, of course, of our class is for you to learn effective communication skills so that you can ultimately have successful, strong relationships. So this module that you're currently working in is going to take you to Chapter 6, which talks about specific verbal communication skills. And I wanted to take this opportunity to encourage you to really use this module to think about your own interpersonal communication. For example, in my face-to-face class, we have been talking about this chapter as well. I have students identify a few interpersonal communication goals for themselves, and most of their goals involve verbal communication and also nonverbal, of course. Listening is a powerful interpersonal communication skill. So in this chapter, you're going to learn about the power of words, that words symbolize ideas and thoughts, the idea that words have multiple meanings, words have different meanings to different people, and that words can make or break our communication. So before you begin, if you haven't already started on the module, which probably some of you have, but while you're in the midst of this module, I do encourage you to think of 2 or 3 interpersonal communication goals for yourself. And how can you apply what this chapter talks about? For example, in the section where the textbook talks about the fact that words create meaning, if you want to improve your ability to speak clearly to someone without being misunderstood, or to be able to get your ideas across clearly, how can the section on words having different denotations and connotations help you improve your ability to communicate those ideas? The use of words that are positive versus words that are negative. How can you use that information in helping you achieve those goals? How can you manage misunderstandings or minimize arguments when you're talking to other people by understanding the idea that words have different meanings, or words are powerful depending on how they're used? We can minimize our arguments and our disagreements by starting to be mindful, as he talks about in the book. Be aware of the words we use and how they might be interpreted differently than we really intended them to be. Towards the end of the chapter, he has 2 really good, helpful suggestions that a lot of students struggle with. How do I start a conversation? How do I sustain a conversation? And so there's this section on how to have a conversation. And then finally, being assertive versus being aggressive. And several of my students I know say in their goals that they would like to learn how to be assertive in speaking up for themselves, but how do they do that without coming on too strong and being aggressive and demanding? So like I said, this chapter, this module, is full of some very logical and useful suggestions that we can apply to our own interpersonal communication. And I hope that you'll take the time to think about how they can be applied to your own interpersonal communication. I look forward to seeing more of your work, and as always, feel free to email me if you have any questions. Have a good day.